Hey guys, welcome back to the studio. Ryan, aka BloodShot Airbrushing. Today, airbrushing tips for beginners. All right, I know there's a lot of you guys who have accepted my 20-hour challenge, so I am here for you guys. You accept my challenge? Well, I gotta be the one to even a little bit of a where you going? Where you going? Where you going? Let go, let go. All right, guys. Breathing, holding your breath. Believe it or not, these things are going to be essential when you are going to pick up an airbrush and attempt to master the tool. So this requires the steady hand, the steady mind, patience, practice, and perseverance. Guys, the three P's of airbrushing, okay? This is what's going to be required if you're going to pick up any skill, alright? Perseverance is just as important as the practice, is just as important as the patience, guys. It's not going to happen overnight. They all play off one another. Alright, but you have asked to see what I run. Alright guys, so what we got here is my Iwata Power Jet Pro compressor. Now, Iwata would be thought of as the top dog in the field of airbrushes, out of Japan. And the compressor I run gives me the ability to run 2 airbrushes at once. As you can see, we got 2 regulators. We've got 2 water traps. Now, water trap is in case, well, let's see. Alright, it's on right now. She's going to start puttering away. Now, this is what they call a silent compressor. Let me turn that on again. Alright, there's nothing much quieter than this. I have seen guys convert fridge motors. So if you can imagine your fridge that kicks on at night, that little hum. Well, it's about the same size motor. I've seen guys do conversion kits, and it's actually pretty sweet. And there's also available the really small air compressors used for the beauty industry to do fingernails. Dentists as well will travel around with suitcase style compressors that are pretty quiet. I've also seen guys just run your standard 2.5 horsepower teeny tiny air compressor with the hose all the way up to the big 10 horsepower 80-gallon air compressors, and just running a hose with a regulator to keep that air pressure low. Really guys, there's a lot of ways you can do it. Just to get started, I wouldn't be worried. Just get something that's going to push some air. And the 2 water traps, kind of self-explanatory. They are, you know, condensation in your lines, in your hoses. I've got coil hoses. So these water traps help to keep the water out of your hoses and off your artwork. So that's kind of my compressor. I run it at around zoom, damn you. All right, it says about 45, but once I actually press down on the trigger, here, let's do this. So once I give it some air, it goes right down to 40. And that's what I run. All right, let's kick this off. Now, you may notice that my airbrush, well, they're a little naked. And, well, let's get up onto the bench and let's explain this properly. Alright guys, so unfortunately, I've only got the one style of airbrush, and that's basically because of the surfaces I paint on. I usually paint on motorcycle tins, metal, and hockey helmets, you know, fiberglass. If I was doing t-shirts, again, it's more of a production line, so you'd have a different style of airbrush. If I was doing fingernails, alright, I'd have a different style of airbrush. If I was doing mostly wall murals, I'd have a bigger style of airbrush. All right, guys. So today we're gonna talk about my brush. We're gonna talk about I guess it's probably the most common style of airbrush, and its cousin, the counterpart. For what I do, the airbrushing on the motorcycles and the goalie helmets and the riding helmets and the RCs and the snowboards and the skateboards and the people and the occasional wall and breathe. All right, guys. I like the dual action gravity feed airbrush. So let's go over that. I'm gonna flip you around. Alrighty. So here's my two brushes. I've got the Iwata HPB Plus and the Iwata HPC Plus. Now, virtually, they're just your standard Iwata HPB and HPC. The Plus, well, we'll get into that. And really the difference, guys, is the cup size, as you can see, but the thing you can't see is the needle size. So with my HPB, I believe it's a 0.2 millimeter, and I believe it's a 0.5 millimeter needle for the HPC. But there they are. It's funny, can you tell which one I've had longer? Look at the wear marks. You can see right down to the brass. Getting there. They've been good to me. Alright, guys. So this is my dual action gravity feed airbrush. So the other airbrushes out there, you have a suction feed where you'll see it's got a little tube coming out the bottom, and you can put different little cups of paint into the bottom. If you're doing something like t-shirts where you're kind of going quickly, you're trying to do this while a client is waiting for their t-shirt to be spun out in front of their eyes, and you need to change colors rapidly and plenty of colors, that might be a good way to go. I've used them in the past. I've found them to be actually a little bit of pain in the butt when it came to cleaning. The amount of time saved for me versus the amount of time wasted cleaning, it just didn't pan out. So I strayed away from the suction feed pretty early in life, and my very first airbrush would have been a Paasche, going back a few years. They still make them, but Iwata is definitely, it's top of the line. But I truly recommend gravity feed, especially if you're just beginning. You're only going to be putting a couple drops in there at the time, so you don't really need the big quantities of paint to be scooping in and out, trading back and forth. And then the other types of airbrushes that they have, this would be a dual action. You push down for air, pull back for paint. So dual action versus single action. A single action, you push down, you get both paint and air. Alright, guys, and it's a little harder to regulate between your paint flow and your airflow. Me personally, I swear by the gravity feed dual action. You'll also notice I am not running what is called the needle guard. So my needle is sticking right through there. You can see that. And the reason why I do not run needle guards is because I find that I am constantly spitting paint through my airbrush, working hour upon hour, and it builds up. You get some chunkies that build up there. They tend to get thrown down on your project. It's bad news, guys. So I just sit there and I clean this regularly. You might even notice in some of my videos that you'll see me I've seen guys take a little bit of a sponge, so just a little tiny bit of a sponge, and then clean it that way if you're a little hesitant playing around with a sharp needle. And then after that we've got the Nozzle Guard, which comes off, and that's protecting your little tiny nozzle. Now your needle is connected to your trigger through a chuck. Alright, guys, there's your chuck that holds your needle in. When you push down, you get air. When you pull back, you get paint. And you'll notice that trigger is now pushing back the chuck, holding your needle. This is just the nut that holds your needle in place. And typically, oh here, let's show you. So this would be one with the handle on the back. Now, why they call this an HPBNC Plus is because you are able to do micro adjustments where you can adjust. It's just a little pin in here that stops. I don't know if you can see her. It actually stops your needle from going too far back. So if you just wanted like a teeny tiny line, you could adjust this to stop your needle from going too far, from exposing too much paint. And if you want to use that, guys, I don't think there's anything really wrong with it. I kind of, over the years, I've kind of felt those types of things. You also see the ones where they have the little micro adjustment right here where you can micro adjust your air. I find them just to be another hassle for cleaning. And really, guys, I kind of feel like it's a bit of a crutch. If you're going to constantly rely on having a guard to stop your needle from going too far back, you're not really going to build up that muscle memory that is required to really master your airbrush. Taking off that handle gives it a lightweight feel too. This is obviously heavier than a pen, but I mean, I hold it as such. I hold it just like if I was holding a pen to write. Alright, guys, so when you're holding it, same sort of thing. Righty, lefty, hold it like you're holding a pen. Find that comfortable grip. And there she be. Again, no needle cap, and that's just so I can constantly clean my needle. But with that being said, I gotta be super delicate. These needles are, well, I mean, they're minute, man. They're tiny. Very easy to bend and very easy to break. So you do not want to be banging them up all over the place. I've got airbrush holders that I keep them in 24/7. If I'm not using it, if it's not in my hand, it's in its holder. I'm pretty good at not bumping them, but if you feel more comfortable having that needle protector on there, go for it, guys. If you feel more comfortable having the rear handle on it, go for it, guys. This is just how I run. This is my setup. I don't know if there's much else to say. I'm not going to break it all apart. I do have to clean my airbrushes at some point here, so we will do a parts breakdown. Not today, guys. Not today. Alright, guys, so there you have it. My tools of the trade. And guys, take this into consideration. In a lot of cases, truly, we are only as good as our tools. So I know I'm gonna get bombarded with comments saying, I found this airbrush on Amazon for 30 bucks. Oh my god, it came with a compressor. It was such a great deal. I wouldn't go there, guys. I really wouldn't. Here's the kicker. I know it's gonna be tough to spend 100, maybe even 150, depending on whereabouts you are, to pick up a decent airbrush. But it'll be worth it, guys. This isn't sorcery, okay? It's not impossible to learn how to use an airbrush. If you can learn how to write a pen, if you can learn how to operate a trigger, alright guys, you can operate an airbrush. It's not rocket science. But if you start off with a crummy piece of equipment, it's gonna make your whole experience, well, crummy, guys. So start with something decent, you know, start with a solid. Man, you don't gotta buy brand new either. There's a lot of people who have started, found out it's not their passion, it's not for them, and they're gonna go and try to flog their equipment on the secondhand sites, guys. So wherever you're from, get online, do some searching. Man, it's the age of information. The world's at your fingertips. Rah. Get out there, guys. Find a brush. I recommend Iwata. I would say Badger would be kind of the second in line. Alright, guys, and then I would go for Paasche. I would say they'd probably be the third in line. This is just my opinion, guys. Other people will swear by other brushes and other orders, but hey, you're in my channel, so you're gonna get my brain. All right, guys. And I'll throw some links down in the description area there, and you can check out some of these brushes. You go check them out. They can say more for themselves than I can ever spew out in a 12-minute video. And they've got series, right? So they've got their powerhouse brush, and then they've got their introductory brush that gets you started. Go for the good ones, man. Go for the name brands. Believe me, it will pay off in the future. And guys, if you choose to say, I tried, I put in the 20 hours, man, this ain't for me. It's just not for me. I tried, it's not for me. Well, what are you going to do with a $30 airbrush? You going to try to get 15 bucks for it? May as well just kick it to the curb. That was like a kick that you didn't see off screen there. If you have a $100 airbrush, sell it for 80 bucks. Guys, you're not out that much. The time that you put in would still advance you personally. You're still growing. You're evolving, which is what we want to do. Keep growing, keep evolving. Guys, thanks for coming by. Next episode will be spraying some paint and going through some of the troubleshooting. All right, guys. As always, cheers. And if there's something you think I missed, guys, or if you have any questions, hit me in the comments. And as always, like, follow, subscribe. Thanks for coming along for the ride.